The medium of video games is particularly susceptible to aging, with rapid technological advances often making many titles feel obsolete in just a few years. While elements like visuals and scope can quickly become outdated, certain aspects, such as design and mechanics, can help games maintain their appeal over time. These qualities allow some games to remain enjoyable long after their release. So in this feature, we will be taking a look at 15 first-person shooters that still hold up 15 years later. Black. Criterion Games may best be known for its work on the Need for Speed series, but its 2006 release Black also deserves a fair amount of appreciation. Despite being a far cry from what the developer was used to, Black was a compelling first-person shooter with some of the best visuals of its time. The story might not be something to write home about, but a solid set of shooting mechanics and thrilling firefights make Black a noteworthy game nevertheless. And it holds up surprisingly well to this date. Metroid Prime. Metroid Prime took what worked in other games in the genre and meshed those elements to deliver something that was both fresh and recognizable. A great art direction and setting also works wonders, and the success of its recent remaster proof that Metroid Prime continues to shine even after all of these years. BioShock. BioShock is regarded as one of the best games of the 2000s, and that accolade is not without reason. Set against the underwater city of Rapture, BioShock tells a riveting tale about the collapse of a supposedly utopian society, and that journey is filled with some amazing surprises that will keep you glued to the edge of your screen at all times. BioShock's blend of immersive sims and action games might not be as unique as it was back in the day, but quality mechanics and impressive level designs make it hold up really well. Half-Life 2. The original Half-Life was nothing short of a revolutionary game for its time, and Valve took a big leap with the 2004 sequel. Where the original was a story about surviving a failed experiment, Half-Life 2 is a full-fledged rebellion against the forces of Combine. Half-Life 2 makes some big changes to the gunplay, which makes for a great moment-to-moment gameplay experience. And combine that with the bevy of physical-based puzzles spread throughout its gargantuan levels, and Half-Life 2 becomes an unmissable game that should be played by every gamer at least once.
Well, here's the transmitter.
Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Vegas. Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Vegas takes the familiar tactical gameplay of the series and asks players to complete operations of escalating complexity against the backdrop of Sin City. This methodical brand of gameplay takes some time to get used to, but once that initial phase is over, Rainbow Six Vegas turns out to be an absolute delight. Time Splitters Future Perfect. The Time Splitters series is very much a product of its time, and that's part of what makes it so special. The game operates on the same themes of time travel as past entries, but it holds up so much better thanks to cleaner visuals and polished shooting mechanics, which in turn makes it much more palatable for modern audiences. Far Cry 2. After the original Far Cry turned out to be a runaway success, the developer made bigger leaps with the sequel that was released in 2008. Far Cry 2 thrust players into the hostile environments of rural Africa in search of the mysterious weapons dealer Jackal, and it was one of the earliest games to implement systemic design in an open-world action-adventure framework. Weapons can randomly jam, deadly fires can be spread out, and the ever-looming threat of malaria attacks can easily overwhelm a player, which makes for a rather thrilling survival experience, one that is noticeably absent from future entries. Halo 3. It's safe to say that Bungie produced hit after hit in the 2000s with the Halo series, and Halo 3 had a lot going for it on account of being the grand finale of the original trilogy. And it's also safe to say that Bungie delivered big time with this game, providing a fitting conclusion to the Covenant War along with a strong suite of multiplayer options that would keep players coming back time and time again. On top of being one of the biggest games of its time, Halo 3 also received newfound success with the Master Chief Collection, further solidifying its status as a timeless classic. S.t.a.l.K.E.R. Shadow of Chernobyl. The S.t.a.l.k.e.r brand of games might not be everyone's cup of tea due to its brutal survival mechanics, but those who choose to trudge through those horrors will find a lot to love in this post-apocalyptic series. Released in 2007, S.t.a.l.k.e.r Shadow of Chernobyl is emblematic of those very strengths, and it continues to be a rather fun time to date. All thanks to a strong set of mechanics that complement each other to create a distinct survival experience that's just as rewarding as it is challenging. The Darkness. Developed by Starbreeze Studios, The Darkness puts players in the shoes of Jackie Estacado, who leverages the power of dark demonic forces to put an end to the many shady operations that rule the city's underbellies. While the story might not be the most memorable, The Darkness does manage to impress with its innovative use of companion tendrils that stem from the protagonist. These Darklings can be used in many ways, but the catch of only using these powers in dark areas adds an element of strategy that makes firefights pretty interesting. Between this and impressive art direction, The Darkness has aged rather beautifully over the years. Crysis. The original Crysis is mostly known for being one of the most graphically demanding games of its time, but there is a lot more than what meets the eye. Crysis 1 thrusts players into a bustling world filled with enemy encampments, and the gameplay loop offers plenty of freedom in terms of how players choose to approach the situation. You can go all guns blazing, try to sneak in through cloaking, or use a combination of the two. It's fast-paced, the visuals hold up really well, and it's definitely a must-try if you haven't already. Prey. Human Head Studios' Prey is all about exploring the darkest depths of the sphere's gargantuan spacecraft, and that journey is punctuated with plenty of narrative exposition and thrilling firefights that will keep you glued to the edge of your screen at all times. It's a rather short game that takes just a handful of hours to beat, but it uses that shorter runtime judiciously to treat players with one delightful section after another, and that combined with the stylistic visuals make this experience pretty worthwhile to date. Left 4 Dead 2. Another one of Valve's releases on this list, Left 4 Dead 2 stands tall as one of the best cooperative zombie shooters on the market, and that alone speaks volumes about the quality of the experience. Left 4 Dead 2 is obviously all about fighting waves upon waves of zombies in distinct locales, but what makes it so good is its ability to perfectly direct the right amount of chaos at the right time. The ingenious director system works beautifully behind the scenes, and the constant sense of dread and relief makes for some memorable emergent narrative that makes it such an endearing game. The Chronicles of Riddick: Escape from Butcher Bay. The Chronicles of Riddick: Escape from Butcher Bay is one of the very few games that are based on movies that are actually good. Starbreeze Studios does a fabulous job of capturing the spirit of the movie, and the gameplay juggles between shades of action and stealth, which makes it a really fun time. The visuals have started to show some signs of aging, but the great pacing and memorable levels do help with clearing out those minor rough edges. Fallout 3. Fallout 3 was a stark change from the previous entries in the franchise. Taking a sharp turn from the isometric RPGs that were Fallout 1 and 2, Fallout 3 tried to mesh together a first-person shooter with RPG mechanics to some amazing results. Fallout 3's rendition of a post-apocalyptic Washington is brimming with interesting characters, compelling quests, and fierce monsters that will keep fans occupied for hours upon hours on end. While the visuals might not hold up, Fallout 3's brand of gameplay and compelling progression system still make it worthwhile of an experience even after all of these years. And that'll be about it for this one. If you guys like what we're doing at GamingBolt, please consider subscribing to our channel, and I'll see you guys on the next video.